Hey guys, it's Virtual from Zenith Corporation, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how the anti-gravity generator, or the AGG, works in practice. So I have a ship here, and thanks to Danjo for letting me borrow this pretty sweet ship. It's called the Flatbed, and it is equipped with the anti-gravity reactor. Now you probably clicked this video because you want to know how you can lift an infinite amount of weight out of the atmosphere, and that can be done, like I said, with the reactor here. The amount of weight is only limited by the amount of cargo containers you can fit on your ship. So in this video we're going to be talking about how it's all done, and then also this thing I'm flying, where it comes into use with the anti-gravity ship. Just gotta make sure he's docked before we do anything else. Okay, we're good. Alright, so this is the anti-gravity generator. And there are a few things I'd like to talk about before getting into actually flying this crazy device. The first thing is the different sizes. There, as you might expect, are small, medium, and large anti-gravity generators. However, what isn't so apparent is that the large anti-gravity generator has no use. You shouldn't use the large reactor at all because there's no extra large cores in the game quite yet. This is the small reactor, and it is on a medium ship. The medium reactor goes on a large ship, and as I mentioned, the large reactor is not used, so don't make it. These also have an insane crafting time, and along with the insane crafting time comes a secondary item that you need to make these things work, and those are the pulsars. You're going to need 6 pulsars for the smallest anti-gravity reactor, and 12 for the medium on your large core ship. Extra small and small core ships cannot have anti-gravity. One other thing that I'd like to talk about pertains to controlling the reactor itself, and that is only done with Lua. Now, thanks to somebody who kindly wrote a script that is open source now, we can use these things in style via a touchscreen. Let me show you what this thing looks like. Pretty sweet. And I'll be showing how this script operates, and I'll also provide it to anybody that is interested in using it. There's a few other methods that you can use via simply the edit Lua parameters, and you can actually just have a parameter in here that sets your altitude. Really easy. Or you can go fancy like with this really sweet script here. And one other thing I'd like to mention before we get into flying is that the anti-gravity generator only works at 1,000 meters or above. So on Alioth, you actually have to fly your ship up to 1,000 meters before the anti-gravity generator activates. That's kind of beside the point, and I'll be showing you guys many different ways that can kind of be worked around. Now, before I take off, I actually want to go ahead and activate the generator, and look at this. I'm just clicking the screen. Yes, it is touchscreen. It's insane. I'm also going to lower the base altitude to 1,000. It's not important. So now that it is activated, I'm going to click lock, and then also, actually, let's actually just use the base altitude. So that's going to set our altitude to 1,000 meters. All good. So let's go ahead and take off and fly up to 1,000 meters. This ship currently weighs a measly 1.5 kilotons. So it is nothing compared to the immense weight that you can take up like this. Now, many workarounds present themselves for how to get your ship into up to 1,000 meters, and that can be, simply taking off from a mountain. Maybe if you go to Feli, because the sea level is so low, you'll be quite good there and you can take off. And then there's also things like maybe a space elevator if you so choose. Now I'm just at 1,000 meters, and now I'm going to go ahead and slow the ship down gradually. Now you want to make sure that you're at a pretty close to your hold altitude before you start slowing down, because some oscillation may occur where you might even drop below the activation range of the anti-gravity reactor. So we're going to go ahead and slow the ship down, and you guys are going to get to see how it actually just sits here and floats. Pretty freaking cool. Now look at that. As if by some magic, we are now floating on a pad of negative G's. Pretty cool. Now, this leads us to the second way that you can get ore up to your ship. You can go ahead and fly like this and just simply log off, jump down to the ground, and load up the containers that you are linked to. Now, you always want to relog before jumping off of your floated ship, and the reason for that is there is a bug where the anti-gravity generator will unload physics when you get too far away, and the ship just falls to the ground. None of us want to repair this, so I don't suggest you do it. And you might be asking, how do you get back up? And that's when this little guy comes into play. This is what I call the magic carpet. And it is essentially a little ship that allows us to kind of float around. As you can see, the flatbed here is moving kind of erratically. So we'll go ahead and bring the hovercraft down. You can kind of see how it's floating around here. And then the anti-gravity is going to catch it and then just pull it right back up. I'm going to try not to get hit by it. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah, so you don't actually want this oscillation to happen, so that's why you lock off before anything else. So I'm going to try to land back on this ship rather carefully without getting whacked. So anyway, this is what you can do. You can just park over a market if you so choose. And jump down, sell from your link containers, and fly back up on this beautiful little magic carpet. Contact me on Discord if you want one of these. Pretty cool. A lot of fun to fly around. Great cinematography tool, as you saw at the beginning of the video. So, just as if nothing happened, we're going to hop back into our seat, and I'll show you some other cool things you can do while you're levitating like this. Those are the pulsars, if you were wondering. Nice blue circles. Now I can actually throttle the ship up and just kind of coast around. Maybe hover over the market that I want to drop down to, and many other cool things like that. So, you know, just floating around like this. And now's a good time to talk about where the real use of the anti-gravity comes in. I can go ahead and unlock, and I can click the up button to increase our base altitude. Let's go to 1,400. So I can just click the base altitude, and now, as you can see, after some delay, we're going to start increasing quickly. Quickly, I suppose, is relative when it comes to only 400 meters, because the anti-grav is pretty slow. Maybe not as slow as you attempting to strap rockets to the back of your ship to get a couple deposits into space, but slow nonetheless. It's not going to be your daily driver. What we use the ship for, in particular, is we actually just fill it up with a supernode and fly it back to base just like this. Hop off the ship with our containers linked, and then unload. As you can see, we're still floating, pretty cool. And then just unload all the way into the ground, and then we can just fly it back down normally, as if it were a normal ship. Now, as we're going back up, I'm going to start going back to base. And just as easily as we started going up, you can actually go back down, and it will carefully float down on the anti-gravity, as you might expect. You can even lift it all the way out of the atmosphere and just go straight to space into another planet, and then you can allow the anti-gravity to just lower you back into the atmosphere of the planet you go to, perfectly safe. I'm trying to fly as level as possible because I don't want to pull the ship too far out of its out of the hold altitude, or it will actually have a lot of trouble and potentially even stop the AGG from working and send us plummeting to our deaths. Now I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate how we can land an anti-gravity ship. This ship uses a technique which is basically a ton of air brakes, and even though the ship weighs 1.5 kilotons, we can bring it down carefully and slowly to its resting pace on the landing pad. So as I make my way back over, I'm going to also show you how I can lower the thing. So I'm going to actually just click down a few times, back to 1,000 meters, then I'll select base altitude, and then after some delay, the ship will begin descending on its own. So maybe pretend that the spaceport here is a market, and you want to land here to sell your wares, and I'll actually show you, like I said, just how simply and easily a ship like this can be landed. I used to call it a fake AGG because of how air brakes work. You can just kind of float on your air brakes. Whether or not that's still a feature after a while, I mean, I guess we'll see. So yeah, this spaceport is huge, as you can see it loading in on my mini-map up at the top right corner. We're actually hosting an aerospace event, so if you'd like to see some of these cool ships and probably hundreds more, come here October 17th and 18th. We are actually at the Alias South Pole. You can see my marker just there. So yeah, come if you'd like on the 17th and 18th and check out some pretty sweet ships. So I'm going to line up my trajectory, which I got by clicking X 3 times, right over where I'd like to land, which is the runway. I'm going to make sure we are well and clear of the edge because I don't want to blow this ship up. Danjo would not share his ships with me any longer. That should be pretty good. I'm going to line the ship up with the runway, and then we're going to actually turn off the anti-gravity. Now, one way that this can be done, getting out of the anti-gravity, and probably the safest way, is you should fly on your wings at about maybe 500 kilometers per hour with no ore on the ship, and then disable the anti-gravity, and you'll be lifted by your wings. However, in my case, I have enough air brakes that I can set the ship down safely without having lift under the wings. So we're going to go back to first person. I'm going to disable, and on the script to this disable, you actually have to click disable 3 times. Alright, AGG is disabled, and as you can see, we are falling fast. Now I am holding control to stick on my air brakes, and as you can see, it's allowing us to float down almost like a fake anti-gravity would. Obviously, with more ore, this would be impossible. And if we had, maybe 3 or 4 kilotons of ore, we would actually log off with the ship at 1,000 meters, fly down on the magic carpet, and transfer the ore to a ground base before doing this exact maneuver. I hope I don't hit the landing pad. That landing pad's kind of floating. If I do, whatever. It'll be funny. You guys can laugh at me in the comments section below. Alright, now as I get close to the ground, I'm going to hold space so that the hover engines warm up. And as you can see, we've come down to the ground safely and securely. Anyway, I truly hope this video was helpful for you guys, and you'll be able to carry all your ore to space and to all the planets that you'd like. If you have any questions, feel free to message me or leave a comment below. And also, there will be a link in the description to get Dual Universe if you're interested, and also a link to my Discord server if you are interested in joining Zenith Corporation. Anyway, signing off. Thanks for watching.